Gosh, it's good to be with you. Holy smokes. You know, when I see out in the audience, who's out in the audience is exactly what the other side says. You don't attract any young people. Really? Really? Because young isn't defined by age. It's defined by attitude. It's defined by passion. So I don't care how old you are. It's how dedicated you are to this country. And more importantly, how dedicated you are to the 1.4 million lives that were sacrificed to make sure that we could meet in places just like this today. Now, I know we talk an awful lot, and it's good to be on the stage with Scotty and hearing what he has to say, and it's good to know that we have all these fine young people who are fired up and ready to go. But last week, we were in session, and I was on the floor of the Congress. And some members came up to me, and they said, oh my gosh, what a horrible primary we're going through. Our candidates are going at each other. I mean, they're bashing each other. They're talking poorly of each other. They're talking about wives. They're talking about everything, their spouse. And I mean, it's absolutely horrible. And how are we supposed to defend these people? And so I said to my Democrat friends, we have some problems on our side too. Now listen, our job, let's make sure that we understand exactly why we're here. In life, I want you to think about this. 90% of life is showing up. Because when you show up, people know you care. And I want your mind just to drift back a little bit and think about the times in your life where it was important to show up. Now, we celebrate a lot of things. Births, baptisms, first communions, confirmations, weddings, family reunions. And those are all important events. What about the other time when we have to show up? And we look for friends to show up. It's when we grieve. It's when we've lost something. It's when something we held so dear and so near, and we say to ourselves, I don't know how I'm going to endure this. I don't know how I'm going to go through the night. You've lost a loved one. You've lost somebody that was so close to you. You've lost something in your life that you just don't think you can get through it on your own, and the truth of the matter is, you can't. But when friends show up and families show up, say, I'm here with you. I'm going to help you get through this. That's when you understand what it means when we say 90% of life is showing up, because when you show up, people know you care. Do you know that's who you are? You're here because you care. You're here because you're worried. You're here because our country has never been greater danger than it is right now. And you're here because we have a primary coming up. And while we do have primary concerns, my greatest concern goes to the fact that as a party, we must win. It doesn't matter to me who our nominee is, as long as that nominee on the morning of November 9th is the next president of the United States. Now, I want you to think about this. Just think about it for a little bit, because it goes way back in history. And if you were to talk to people about who their favorite president was, in fact, especially when you talk to Republicans, they say, oh, good Lord, Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln brought us together when the country was ripped apart. Abraham Lincoln is the guy that I look to in the past and think, when we needed strong leadership, Lincoln was there. And then others will say, wait a minute, let's not forget Ronald Reagan. But then think about what it was that Reagan brought to the stage. He was called the Happy Warrior. He looked at everything and said, we can win. We can be that great shining city on the hill. We can be that nation that the rest of the world looks to. But I want you to think also about Ronald Reagan, not as President of the United States, but when he ran for governor in 1976 in California. When Ronald Reagan said, it's time for the 11th commandment. No Republican should speak ill of another Republican. Now, I want to tell you, I know a lot of you are very much on board with one of our candidates or another one of our candidates. I have not endorsed anybody because at the end of the day, when we come out of Cleveland, we better be able to coalesce around a candidate, around our nominee, and we better be able to win the White House. Now, there are some people that have said to me, look, if it's not the candidate that I want, you know what? Maybe our party needs a cleansing. Maybe our party needs to take those 4 years off. maybe our party needs to think about it's okay to lose this time because in 2020, we'll have a clearer picture of who we are. All right, well, I'll tell you what. I go to the eye doctor, and 2020 means you don't need glasses. Anybody that makes that statement needs glasses because they don't have a clear vision of where the country is. They don't have a clear vision of what could happen in the next 4 years. They don't have any idea what could happen on the Supreme Court in the next 4 years. My message to you is pretty simple. It really is. I want you to campaign as hard as you can for whatever it is that you've chosen to back. I think it's wonderful. I think that's the beauty of who we are as a party. I want your mind just to drift a little bit. I want you to think. Now, please don't anybody take offense with this. The DCCC is not teaming up with anybody to come up with any program to bury Bernie or to stop Hillary. I'll tell you one thing, the difference between our two parties, maybe you've heard this before, they do really subscribe to this. There's no secrets in our family. There's just a lot of things we don't talk about. They are scared to death of what's happening. Really? Mrs. Clinton? If she were a Republican, she'd be in jail. Bernie Sanders. I wish he had not returned from Russia when he was on his honeymoon. He should have stayed there. And then I want you to think of the current occupant of the White House. Think about this, because these things truly matter. The optics truly matter. When we have horrific things going on in the world, when people are being murdered in Brussels, these are not combatants on a military field. These are people. These are families. These are moms and dads and little kids who are going home for the holiday. And this is who they choose to attack? And you can sit in Cuba with the biggest violators in our hemisphere of human rights and freedom and say, I think I'm going to go to the ball game. And I can't wait to the 7th inning stretch so I can do the wave. And how about this for optics? This is the same man that gets on an airplane and flies to Argentina and does the tango in Argentina. Have you all seen that? Everybody see that? Did you ever see anybody more awkward on a dance floor? Yeah, almost as awkward on the dance floor as he is leading this country. And the other stunning thing is that the girl was leading. But when you think about it, that's a lead from behind philosophy, right? I'll just sit back and let it kind of go on its own. I heard the president say, listen, these people, these Republicans are driving an issue that doesn't exist. We are winning the war against ISIS. And my question is, Mr. President, if that's winning, I'd sure as heck hate to see what losing is. When everyday Americans can see clearly what's going on in the world, and when the leader of the free world cannot even take off his shades to address the question of why aren't you home? Why aren't you calling a global summit about terrorism? I mean, you went to Paris on this global mission to do something about climate change. You want to have a global summit on nuclear weapons. And Vladimir Putin says, I don't need to go to that. Thanks to the reset button, you guys have lowered your number of nuclears to where we are, so now we're even, and I'm never going to ever back off my mission. Think about this. This is the President of the United States. This is a man who represents everything we are. This is the fabric of who we are as a nation. Forget about a country, because a country talks about the geographical boundaries. The nation is the very heart of who we are. It is the pure fabric of who we are. And my friends, I'll tell you what. We're still a little bit of ways from the convention in Cleveland. We're still far away from the election in November. I'm going to ask you to think about something. I'm going to ask you to think about what it really is that we're trying to do. And I know we can talk forever about policy. We can talk about how things should be. We should talk about what our agenda is going to be. We can talk volumes and volumes of volumes about what our policy is about and why we should adopt that. But you know what we don't do? When we lose, it doesn't matter what our policy is. When we don't occupy the White House, when we don't have our majorities in the House of Representatives, or in the Senate, or in the governor's seat, or in your district, or on your school board, or in your communities, it doesn't matter what our policy is, because quite frankly, the other side doesn't care. They're in charge. They are in charge. So we get all excited about these things, and we get all wrapped around the axle about this person or that person, or about what they said or what they didn't say or what they should have said. And we have these tremendous internal debates about who it should be and about why it should be that person. I want you to think about the last election, 2010, or 2012, I'm sorry. We have a Romney-Ryan ticket, all right? If you were looking for a better CEO to run a country or a company, it would by far be Governor Romney. Tremendous, tremendous experience. Ran companies, saved the Olympics, was a good governor. And yet 3 million or more Republicans stayed home because he's not my guy. He's just not pure enough for me. And I can't hold my nose and pull that lever anymore. I mean, I didn't do it when McCain was our nominee, and I'm sure as heck not going to do it with Romney. Now think about the other side of the ticket. Paul Ryan. Romney, Ryan. Paul Ryan, who most people would say, what a phenomenal young person. What a great voice for our party. What a great vision for the future. Paul Ryan. Romney, Ryan. Absolutely. We've got to be able to win with that ticket. 3 million or more Republicans stayed home and couldn't vote that day for any reason. But you know, we couldn't even carry Paul Ryan's home state of Wisconsin with that ticket. And we didn't lose the election because the other side beat us. We lost the election because we beat ourselves. A lot of people in this room are really into athletics. Myself, I'm a Steeler fan. I'm a Notre Dame fan. Yeah, go Irish. The Steelers will open camp in July. And they have thousands of fans that go to watch them practice. And when you talk to the fans, you know what they do? They might say, well, you know, I kind of like this guy over that guy. I kind of like this running back over this other running back. And then at the end of the training season, we actually go into the regular season, ready to go suit up and win. And I will tell you, those same fans, if it isn't their favorite, that's at the quarterback or at the running back, they do not root against the Steelers to lose. Because their guy wasn't the guy that was the starting lineup. Are we kidding ourselves? If you want the policies, the conservative policies that we all love, and we all know it's the only way to sustain America, it's the only way to get our positions across, then we have to win on November the 8th. And we have to win with a Republican candidate. So I've had people tell me, you know what, you seem to get kind of wrapped up about this stuff. You have a passion about this. I'll say, yeah, you're damn right I do. I have a wife that I married back in 1973. We've had 4 children. We lost 1 between the first and second child. But we didn't quit. Our kids, you got that. I mean, it's a lot of fun. We have 10 grandchildren. I just want you to think, if we wake up on the morning of November the 9th, and we say, if it had only been the person that I wanted to run, I would have knocked on doors. I would have made phone calls. I would have got my friends and neighbors out. I would have done everything I could. I would have kicked every bush. I would have shaken every tree. I would have gotten people across the finish line and say, you've got to be there on November the 8th. I don't want to hear about the tears on the morning of November the 9th. Not if you had fears on November the 8th. Wake up, America. Not just you, our country. We cannot afford 4 years of a Hillary Clinton. It is truly unbearable for us as a nation. As a nation. not just as a party, but as a nation. We know we have the right issues. We know we're on the right track. We know what we have to do to right things again. My question is, do we have the will to win? Now, everybody says they like to win, right? Anybody here who doesn't like to win? Let me ask you a more poignant question. How much do you hate losing? How much do you hate losing? Don't tell me how badly you want to win. Everybody in any competitive sport says, I want to win. The question is, what are you willing to spend not to lose? Because I want to tell you something. Those wins, they'll get lost in the back of your memory. I would just suggest to you, when you think about the losses in your life, I bet if I asked you, when did your mom pass away? How about when your dad passed away? How about when a brother, a sister? How about when a friend, a neighbor? Remember when they passed away? People say, yeah. You know what they follow up with? Man, I wish I had one more day with them. Maybe just one time to sit down at Thanksgiving. Maybe just a cup of coffee. How you doing, Pop? How's it going? How can I help you? Mom, thanks. Man, if it wasn't for you, my brothers and my sisters wouldn't be here. For my parents' generation, our country wouldn't be here. So think about losing. Forget about the winning aspect of it. My question to all of you right now is, how much do you hate losing? How much do you want to make sure that this country doesn't lose, that our party doesn't lose, that not only our future generations, but we don't lose, and we don't turn our back on the 1.4 million Americans who've given their lives so that we can celebrate this form of government? That's the real question. It's, who are you in here? So I'm asking everybody, including our candidates, speak well of yourself, speak about your policies, speak about where you want to lead the country. Everybody, you don't need to talk ill of any other person that's on that stage with you. And at the end of the day, the primary we have on April 26th, you know what I heard? So you know what, our primary is so late, we're irrelevant. It's over by the time it gets to Pennsylvania. My vote's not going to count. You know when your vote doesn't count? When you don't vote. When you stay home and say, I don't count. That's when you lose. So I want you to think about where it is that we're going. And I want you now to think about, not only as a party, but as a people, what are we willing to do that we won't lose? What price are we willing to pay that we don't lose? How much time are we willing to put forward that we can never regain? Once it's gone, it's gone. What time are we willing to put forward so that we win and we don't lose? Listen, there's a time in your life when you have to stand. And 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 it's not so much that you're standing for yourself, but you're standing for everybody else that came before us and all those to come after us. Because the battle we're engaged in right now, it's not an option not to participate. You can't sit on the sideline and hope that somehow things are going to get better, and I'm just going to wait until that happens. And when that happens, I'm going to get up off my duff, and I'm going to actually go on the field, and I'm going to engage in hand-to-hand combat to protect this magnificent nation that we have. So I'm asking all of you to stand. Stand together. Stand for our party. Stand for our principles. Stand for everything that we know is right when it comes to our policies and the fact that it is conservatism that will save the country. It is conservatism that will save the country. So it's important for us at this juncture to understand that every one of us is important. If somehow you feel disenfranchised, if you feel like you don't really matter, and that nobody's looking to you, shame on us as a party to make you feel that way. Shame on us as a people to feel that way. Shame on us to look at the morning of November 9th and said, if it had been the right person, I would have gone out that day. I don't care if it's raining, snowing. I don't care if it's a beautiful, sunny, sunshiny day. You know what makes a day a beautiful day? When we win. when we win. So, put in your mouthpiece, pull on your helmet, tighten your chin strap, and get ready to knock the living heck out of somebody on the other side that's taking our country away, not just for this generation, but for generations to come. You're the best. It's great being with you. God bless you. Let's all stand for America.